All right, let's dive into mindfulness today. You've given us a bunch of audio, and I'm really excited to get into it with you.
Yeah,
It seems like you want to go deeper than, just basic meditation stuff.
yeah, it seems like it.
We'll be talking about how slowing down changes things like, your posture,
Right.
your relationships, even some kind of cool vagus nerve science. Have you ever heard about talking to your breath?
I have heard of that, yeah.
Get ready. This is going to be full of those aha moments. You know what I mean?
I do.
Cool.
Well, one thing that's clear from these sources is um, slowing down is a skill, right? It's not like just squeezing in meditation when you're busy. It's like a whole new way of thinking about time.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's about making it part of your life, not just another thing on the list, right?
Right.
One of the first things I noticed was how important posture is. I thought that was just for yoga.
It's actually more important than you might think. There's this study mentioned where people, did those power poses for just 2 minutes,
Oh,
and their cortisol, the stress hormone, actually went down. It's crazy how our bodies can, change our minds like that.
whoa, that body-mind connection is wild. Makes you wonder what else we're missing, right? And it's not all power poses either. The source talks about trying different positions for meditation, like
Right.
sitting, lying down, even walking.
Yeah, it's about finding what helps you slow down and look inward. There's even this story about a teacher. They compared going into a meditative state to like entering a holy place.
Hmm.
You approach it with respect, and intention.
I love that. It really makes you think about creating a space for mindfulness, right? Both mentally and physically.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of looking inward, breath seems to be a big theme in all this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your breath is like a direct link to how you're feeling inside. Think about it when you're anxious, you breathe all fast and shallow, but when you're relaxed, it's slow and deep, right?
It's like a built-in stress meter, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
The source also mentioned nose breathing being good for your heart. Something about the parasympathetic nervous system, which is like the calming one.
Yeah, that's it. Nose breathing makes you take those slower, deeper breaths, and that activates the parasympathetic system, helps lower your heart rate and blood pressure.
Hmm.
But it's not just physical. The audio really emphasizes the relationship you have with your breath.
Hmm. Okay.
They talk about simple but powerful things like counting to 5 when you breathe out.
I've heard of that, but I'm curious about that talking to your breath thing. What's that all about?
It's basically using like affirmations or little phrases as you breathe.
Yeah.
So you might think, breathing in, I'm here. Breathing out, I let go of tension. It's like bringing awareness and purpose to every breath.
That's cool. Almost too simple, but I want to try it. Beyond the techniques, what really stuck with me was the idea of slowing down being like a superpower in today's world. The source used that story about the desert drive, right?
Yeah. And I think that story really shows those mind traps we fall into. The speaker was so focused on getting somewhere, they missed how beautiful the drive was. It was only when they slowed down that they started noticing all those little details in the desert.
It's like we're so busy we forget to just be, right? And the source calls out some of those traps that keep us going so fast. Things like, I
Yeah.
don't have time, or I won't get anything done if I slow down. It's like we're addicted to being busy.
It's so common these days, but the source doesn't just point it out. They give solutions too. They talk about these 4 principles for getting over those hurdles, focusing on things like self-compassion and curiosity.
I like that because sometimes it feels like slowing down is way easier said than done.
Yeah, I get that.
Speaking of easier said than done, there's this whole thing about the vagus nerve it seems important. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. The vagus nerve is like this information highway running from your brainstem all the way down to your stomach. It affects everything from your heart rate to digestion.
Okay.
And the cool thing is, stuff like slow breathing can actually make it work better.
Wait, what? Vagal tone? Like being in tune with your vagus nerve?
Think of it like this. A well-toned vagus nerve is like a machine that's running smoothly.
Yeah.
Better communication between your brain and body, more relaxation and resilience.
Uh-huh.
And when we do things that calm our nervous system, like deep breathing or meditation, we're kind of giving that vagus nerve a workout, making it better at handling stress.
I think I get it. So slowing down isn't just some vague idea, it actually has a physical basis.
Right.
So how do we know if we have good vagal tone? Are there signs?
That's a good question. You don't need a doctor to get a sense of it. Think about how you handle stress. Do you bounce back quickly or hold on to tension?
Oh, I totally hold on to tension. So you're saying that if I do these slowing down things, like the breathing we talked about, it'll actually improve my vagal tone and make me more resilient?
Exactly. It's like building a muscle. The more we do things that activate that parasympathetic system, the stronger our vagus nerve gets and the better we are at dealing with stress.
That's really empowering. It means we have more control over how we feel than we think. So we've covered a lot here. The posture thing, the breath, this vagus nerve, and those mind traps that keep us speeding along. What's next? How do we actually put all this into practice?
Well, the source material has, some exercises and stuff, but I think the first thing is realizing that mindfulness isn't just about doing, it's about being.
Okay.
It's about cultivating a way of being in the world that's all about presence and awareness.
That makes sense. So it's not about adding another thing to our to-do list,
Right.
but more about changing our perspective even while we're doing our everyday stuff.
Exactly. And remember, those four principles we talked about, those give us a framework for bringing mindfulness into our lives.
Right. We talked about self-compassion and curiosity. What were the other two?
The source also talks about recognizing imbalance and understanding that mental health comes from the inside out, not the outside in.
Okay, let's break those down. What does it mean to recognize imbalance? Is it like noticing when we're pushing ourselves too hard or not taking care of ourselves?
Exactly. It's about tuning into our physical, emotional, and mental states
Okay.
and noticing when things feel off. Are we always on edge, feeling drained or disconnected from ourselves? That awareness is the first step to finding balance again.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. Got to take care of ourselves first, right?
Right.
And that connects to the idea that mental health comes from the inside out, right?
Absolutely. It's a reminder that real well-being doesn't come from outside, it comes from within.
Hmm.
It's about shifting our focus from chasing external validation to cultivating inner peace and contentment.
That's a big shift. Instead of waiting for things to change around us, we can change how we relate to them. And I think that's where practices like those breathing exercises come in, right?
Yeah.
They're like tools we can use to regulate how we feel inside, no matter what's going on outside.
Exactly. And remember that vagal tone thing we were talking about? Well, the source says that people with higher vagal tone tend to be more resilient.
Oh, okay.
They bounce back from challenges easier and handle their emotions better.
So if we practice those techniques that stimulate the vagus nerve, like slow breathing, we can actually get better at handling stress.
Exactly. It's not about becoming immune to stress, but about being able to handle those challenges with more ease and grace.
I like that. But what about people who struggle with really intense emotions, maybe even trauma? Can mindfulness really help them?
That's a really important question.
Hmm.
And while mindfulness isn't a magic cure, the source does highlight its potential to help us process difficult emotions and experiences in a healthier way.
Okay.
It's not about suppressing those feelings, but about learning to approach them with awareness and compassion.
So instead of avoiding or numbing those painful feelings, we can learn to sit with them, acknowledge them, and maybe even learn from them.
Exactly. And that's where self-compassion is so important. It's about recognizing that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and we all experience pain.
It's like treating ourselves with the same kindness we'd offer a friend who is struggling. I love that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful reminder that mindfulness is about changing how we relate to ourselves, not just changing our behaviors.
And that change can ripple outwards into our relationships and even the world around us.
That makes me think of that young veteran the source mentioned, Rick.
Oh, right.
His story really shows how hard it can be to slow down, especially when you're dealing with the aftermath of trauma.
Rick's story is a powerful reminder that mindfulness isn't always easy, and it's not a quick fix.
Yeah.
It takes practice, patience, and a willingness to face those tough emotions. But the rewards can be huge.
The source said that working with fear is a key part of this. What do they mean by that?
It's about learning to recognize fear when it comes up without judging it or pushing it away.
Oh.
Often our first reaction is to try and control fear, but
Yeah.
that usually just makes it worse.
So instead of running from fear, we learn to face it, acknowledge it, even befriend it.
Kinda, yeah. It's about developing a more mindful relationship with fear, understanding that it's a natural part of being human.
I bet that curiosity helps with that, like the source said.
Right.
Instead of seeing fear as the enemy, we can ask ourselves, what's this fear trying to tell me? Or what can I learn from this?
That's a great point. Curiosity helps us approach those tough emotions with openness and acceptance, which can take away their power.
And in the end, it's about knowing that we're not alone in this. We
Right.
all feel fear, anxiety, and self-doubt sometimes.
Absolutely. Mindfulness isn't about achieving some perfect state of calm. It's about accepting ourselves and others, imperfections and all.
I'm thinking back to that idea of recognizing imbalance. It seems like that applies not just to how we feel inside, but also to our environment.
Yeah,
Are we surrounding ourselves with people and things that nourish us, or are we constantly draining our energy?
that's a great observation. Mindfulness goes beyond our inner world to include how we interact with the world around us. It's about being aware of the choices we make, the people we spend time with, the activities we do.
It's about being more conscious of how those choices affect our well-being and making changes if we need to.
Right, it's like we're creating a lifestyle that supports our mental and emotional health, not one that tears it down.
And remember, it's not about being perfect or changing everything overnight,
No.
right? It's about making small, sustainable changes that move us towards more balance and well-being. That's good to hear because sometimes it feels like we need to change our whole lives to benefit from mindfulness.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But you're saying that even small, consistent changes can make a difference over time.
Absolutely. Even a few minutes of mindful breathing each day can have a big impact on our well-being.
It's like planting a seed and nurturing it right.
Yeah.
Speaking of practice, the source did talk about a couple of specific exercises, the brain, heart, belly sequence, and basic slowing down. Can you tell us more about those?
Sure. Both exercises are about cultivating presence and grounding. The brain, heart, belly sequence involves bringing gentle, focused attention to each of those areas, noticing any sensations that come up.
Okay.
It's a good way to connect with our bodies and cultivate calm and stability.
And what about basic slowing down? What's that all about?
Basic slowing down is about being aware of the present moment.
Hmm.
Noticing your breath, your posture, and any thoughts or feelings that are present without judgment.
Okay.
It's about cultivating a state of relaxed alertness.
Relaxed alertness, what does that mean?
It's that sweet spot where we're both present and at ease, not too focused or spaced out.
Yeah, it does seem like finding that balance is key. And it makes me think about how mindfulness isn't just about us feeling good. The source also talks about how slowing down can help our relationships.
That's an interesting point. Some research actually suggests that the vagus nerve, yeah, the one we keep talking about, it plays a part in how we connect with people.
Really?
Yeah, when we're calm and balanced, we're more likely to be present and tuned into others, and that builds deeper connection.
That makes sense. When we're not stuck in our own heads, always reacting to stress, we can actually listen to people and understand them better.
It's about shifting from me to we, recognizing that we're all connected.
This deep dive has been amazing. We've covered so much, from posture and breathing to this vagus nerve thing and the benefits of slowing down for ourselves and our relationships. It's been quite a journey.
It really shows how mindfulness is about the whole person,
Yeah.
physical, mental, emotional, even social well-being.
As we've been talking, I keep thinking about how mindfulness isn't just about changing ourselves, but about making a difference in the world.
It's a powerful idea, right?
Mm.
What if finding inner peace and presence could help create a more peaceful and compassionate world for everyone?
That's a beautiful thought. And it's inspiring to think that we can all contribute to that just by choosing to slow down, be more present, and be more compassionate towards ourselves and others.
It all starts with each of us, one mindful breath at a time.
This has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like we've just scratched the surface of this topic, but it's given me a lot to think about and some practical ways to start bringing mindfulness into my life.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, the journey of mindfulness is always going on. There's always more to learn, more to explore, and more to experience.
Thanks so much for guiding us through this. And to everyone listening, I hope this has inspired you to explore the power of mindfulness in your own lives. Until next time, remember to breathe and maybe slow down just a little.